right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Joseph Miranda, broker and owner of Miranda Executive Realty. Welcome to our latest installment of our Ask the Broker session. This is our deep dive into our high-level trainings, the stuff that is created, the stuff that is there that is made to get you what? To get you unstuck. We have a philosophy here. Don't stay stuck. And today it's going to be a huge part of what we're talking about. I'm actually really excited about the training that we have coming up. It's really designed for agents that are feeling stuck in today's type of market. So this being said, before we jump into it, we're going to do our regular shameless plug for any agents that are on here that are not members of Miranda Executive Realty or anybody that's watching the recorded, because this is a recorded session. Please feel free to scan this QR code if you want to learn more about our brokerage. If not, that's all good. Fear not. We are still here to give you absolute and total value. That being said, questions and answers. If you have any questions, any responses, any thoughts, comments, you can type them in the chat over on the side. I'll finish my thought, and I can get to that. I'll get to whatever thoughts you have or any questions that you have. If you want to, you can just write it down, and then we'll bring those up at the end of the training. We'll address everything there. So, but if you want to type them in the box, and if it's something relevant to that immediate topic, more than happy to address it right then and right there. This being said, let's jump into a quick disclaimer. Again, as I had introduced myself, I am the broker and owner of this company, Miranda Executive Realty. We do things very differently at this brokerage. We open these trainings up to pretty much everybody. These are recorded, so they can be, go back and you can watch them. But I am really only a broker, right? I've been in real estate for well over 20 years myself, but, I'm not a licensed CPA. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a doctor. I don't hold any other license except for a driver's license. I do own a property management company as well, where we manage real estate. So everything here is for informational purposes only. Nothing here is meant to be any type of advice. Everything that's going to apply, we do ask you to confer with your trusted advisor, whether it's your accountant, whether it's an attorney, your wealth advisor, whatever it is. We're not going to be giving a whole lot of financial advice today, but just in case you accidentally hear some, just run that by the proper persons, because none of this is meant to be advice. It's just informational purposes only. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's talk. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about never start over again. So what is never start over again? Well, never start over again is talking specifically about the real estate sales roller coaster, right? And it's the roller coaster right now. I know it feels like we're in the low of the low, but as we're working, the roller coaster is kind of going up. It's being pulled up by the chains, and it's going up and it's going up and it's going up. And you're working and you're working, and you're following up, you're lead generating, you're talking to people, and then finally you hit the top, you get a contract, and woo, right? The excitement starts. But what do you need to do after that? That roller coaster needs to maintain that momentum in order to continue through the track. But then what happens? That if it gets to the end and it stops, everybody gets up, and it has to go through that all over again, right? And so real estate agents specifically, we're notorious for that rich poor roller coasters. Our commissions can give us super high highs, super low lows. And what we're here to talk about, I'm going to break this down into really the simplest terms, because real estate and sales specifically, it's not easy, but it is very, very simple. So why are we doing this again? Why are we talking about this again? Because we are very deep into a market shift, right? The market for, by and large, for a lot of agents that we're talking to, whether it's in this brokerage, it's friends that I'm talking to that are at other brokerages, it's other brokers I'm talking to, team leaders at offices that I have relationships with. This market is one of the most difficult markets we've been in for a very, very long time. However, what are we seeing? We are seeing agents that are thriving, right? Now, maybe they're faking, I don't know, but I know for sure there are agents, because I'm talking to them as well, that they're doing just fine for a couple of reasons, right? They have systems, they have processes, they keep doing what they're doing, but it's because they show up, they're doing things consistently in their lives. But what are we seeing by and large, right? So let me rant just for a moment, right? And this is not going to be a popular rant, but I've been in real estate for a really, really long time. I've been at some very, very large offices before I opened this office. But even now, we're about a little over 30 real estate agents right now in this office. So, I see a lot. I see a lot of what happens. And, I've seen people that have, their spouse has been diagnosed with cancer. I've seen people that literally they themselves have been diagnosed with cancer. A child that's, fighting for their lives, in the process of, just losing everything, spouse losing everything. I've seen real estate agents that have come in and they start from literally nothing, right? And they continue to do what they need to do, right? Now, I'm not saying don't have some type of work-life balance. Obviously, if your spouse is fighting, a battle with cancer, if your child or somebody important to you is, fighting for their life, that definitely deserves attention, right? But if you were to work a 9-to-5 job, would you quit that job completely to go deal with that, right? I've seen these people and they show up to the office, they do what they need to do, right? I'm not talking about working 80-hour work weeks. I'm not talking about rise and grind. I'm not talking about, sleep when you're dead type of mentality. What I'm talking about is just treating this business like it is actually a career. Like you showing up in the business like it's a job, right? I'm not asking you to work 10 hours a week or 10 hours a day. I'm not asking you to work 12 hours a day. I'm saying if you have a regular job, you show up 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., right? 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Maybe you don't get a paid lunch. Maybe you get a paid lunch. I don't know, right? We don't need that here. We don't need, in this real estate business, you have very few tasks that you need to do every single day in order to say that you did your job successfully. And that's what we're going to talk about, right? Because in real estate, there's no magic pill. There's no secret sauce. There's nothing that anybody does that literally nobody else can do. The people that succeed, it's not because they were, born more talented. It's not because they were born more skilled. It's not because they were born into a family that gave them everything that they need. Right? The people that succeed, it's because they show up day in and day out doing their job, regardless of what their day looks like, regardless of what their life looks like, because they do know that if they're going to if they're going to do this, then their life literally depends on this, right? This is what their life depends on. This is what I preach every morning in our power hour. This is what I preach every day whenever we talk. So what are we talking about? Right? I wish I had this slide. I know it's not in here, but if you've heard me speak, you've heard me say this a million times, right? The 5 things that are going to lead to you making money in real estate, and there's nothing else. Now, these are broad categories: lead generation, lead follow-up, going on appointments, writing contracts, closing those contracts. Those are your 5 steps to a closing. Where do they start? They start with lead generation, right? Now, when I say lead generation, most people think, oh, he's talking about cold calling or doing some type of calling. But no, it doesn't have to be calling. But what I will say is you do need to learn calling skills. This is why we do the power hour every single morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., where we practice scripts, we role play, we give coaching. This is why we talk about all of this, because no matter what you do for lead generation, right? Whether it's phone, whether here's our funnel, right? Lead generation, lead follow-up, going on appointments, writing contracts, closing those sales. Those are the only things that matter. And no matter where you're at in this spectrum, right? You figure out, are you closing sales? No. Are you writing contracts? No. Are you going on appointments? No. Are you following with leads? No. Then you better be lead generating. Right? Work yourself backwards. If you're going on appointments, but you're not writing contracts, then you better work on your closing skills. If you're writing contracts and you're not getting them closed, then maybe you need a transaction coordinator. If you're following up with leads and if your pipeline is full of follow-ups, right? It's just follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. You know what you're not doing? You're not closing for the appointment, right? Because you shouldn't have a million people in your follow-up that you're not actually getting appointments for. So work yourself backwards. If you're not having closed sales, you're not writing contracts, you're not going on appointments, you have nobody to follow up with, then you better start lead generating. What is lead generating? Right? Again, it's not all phone calls, right? There's as many ideas as people can have in the world. There's going to be that many different ways to generate leads, right? Traditional is going to be, again, cold calling, geo farming or some type of farming, just listed, just sold, printing, right? I mean, all of this, right? Digital, social media, email, relationship, maybe you go networking, maybe you're sponsoring community events, whatever it is, right? Maybe you're farming your own sphere of influence. It doesn't matter what it is, right? But what matters is that you are lead generating. And the thing about lead generation is no matter what you do, it's going to lead to a phone call, right? So if you have no phone skills at all, the minute that lead comes in, you're going to be stuck. You want to buy Zillow leads, you want to pay, $80, $90, $100 per lead, have that lead call you, and you never made a single call in your life, or you never really worked on how to make an effective phone call, all you're doing is burning money. All you're doing is burning money, right? My number one recommendation is get good at cold calling first. I know most people don't want to cold call. It's not fancy. It's not fun. It's not what people got into the business. You didn't get into the business to be a caller, but if you're cold calling, whether it's expired, for sale by owners, right, whatever it is, if you're cold calling people, you are you're strengthening your phone conversation skills, right? You're figuring out, our A, B, C, D, E, F, right? Our six steps to a phone call, right? Like you're figuring these things out. You're figuring out now when you're at the barber or you're at your stylist and you get a referral from that person, you're going to call that referral and you're going to know exactly what to say, right? You're going to know exactly how to say it. You're going to know how to ask for that appointment. You're not going to look silly. And now what's going to happen? You're going to go back. You're going to tell the person you gave the referral, hey, I spoke with them, went well. I'm meeting with them. Hey, I met with them, went well. I got the contract signed. Hey, met with them. We just went under contract. Hey, we got it closed. That person believes in you now. Now you can count on more referrals. But if you get that referral, you get that call, you make that call, and that person talks to your barber. Hey, how'd that agent that I referred to you? How did that appointment go? They say, oh man, clearly this person's new. Don't ever send me any more referrals. That lead source just dried up. You need to have strong calling skills, right? Lead generation. Today's calls are next month's closings. Today's follow-ups are your future referrals. If you skip both of these, if you're not calling every single day, if you have nothing else going on in your business, right? If you're not blocking out time to lead generate, lead follow-up every single day, guess what happens? Your business dries up. It literally dries up. Like you have nothing going on because no matter where you received it, you might be amazing at social media. Somebody's going to DM you. Hey, I've seen your videos. They're amazing. They're great. I want to work with you. If you blow it on that phone call, if you don't know how to get the appointment from that phone call, you're going to lose that business. That business is going to be gone. So why do we call every single day? Why do we call? Why are we calling day in and day out? Why do we say lead generate, lead generate, lead generate, lead generate? Right. Number one, it's because those lead generation are going to take time. With one exception that I know of, it's expired leads. Expired leads, they already listed their house, right? When you go to an expired, if you're going to call expired canceled leads, you need to get that appointment on that first call. If you're following up with expired leads, you're probably never going to get that deal. If you get that appointment, you go to that appointment, if you don't get the contract on that appointment with an expired or canceled lead, another agent's going to swoop in and they're going to get that contract. Expired leads are ones that don't necessarily have this progression of the sale, but pretty much every other lead will have this. If you're buying online leads, Zillow, Realtor, Homes.com, I don't know, whoever else sells ZBuyer, right? If you're there's going to be some sort of lead follow-up, right? And there's going to be a point where other agents give up. You're the only game in town. There's going to be a point where after a certain number of contacts, you own so much real estate in their mind that when they think about selling or they think about buying, you're the only person that they think about, right? Because number one, everybody else has stopped calling. You've been the only one that's been consistent. You're going to get a Zillow lead and pay $90 for that lead. Call it one time. Oh, they didn't give me an appointment, and just move on. No, man. No, you're going to call them and call them. They didn't answer. You're going to call them again, right? Call them twice a day. Call them twice the next day. Call them the next day. Call them the next day. Call them until they answer, right? Hit those 5 objectives, right? Hit the 5 objectives. Find out, what's their motivation? Where are they going? Get some key information. Make a connection with them. Get their email. Put them in a drip campaign. Keep following up with them. The first 2 steps are crucial. Lead generation, lead follow-up, right? How do you do it? You're going to use your CRM, right? You're going to use whatever system you have. If you're on a pen and paper system for your lead generation and lead follow-up, you're living in the Stone Age, right? You're living in the Stone Age, right? So, skip the slide here. So, yeah. So, in my career, in my business, I've always been top focused on listings, right? Why? Listings are where you get the most leverage. Not only on your time, right? Not only do you get more leverage on your time, where having a listing takes, 1/3 of the time that a buyer has, but also you should be able to take a listing and, if marketed properly, get a buyer. Maybe they don't buy that property specifically, but you should be able to get another buyer that, hey, let's go look at this one. This isn't the right one. Well, let's go look at some other properties, right? Get that buyer agency agreement signed with that buyer. Now, in this market today, listings are tough. They're not tough to get. They're actually, it feels like they're a little bit easier to get in this market, but they're harder to sell because we are in a full-blown buyer's market. Buyers are rare, right? Buyers, there's just not as many buyers out there as there are properties to sell, and it doesn't seem like that's changing anytime soon. Pray to God it does. Pray this market balances itself back out at some point. But right now, with as much inventory that there is on the market, single families are not as bad in today's market. Condos are horrendous, 12 months plus, more than a year's worth of inventory in a lot of areas, especially if you go into the western parts of the Tri-County area. So buyers, they may seem ideal right now, but the cliche is cliche for a reason. You list to last. Always take the listings, right? I always work for listings. In those listings, if I want buyers, I'm going to advertise and market those and try to get the buyers off of those listings. That's what I do, because when you list the property, you own the inventory. You control the inventory, right? It's your job on that listing appointment to set the expectation with the seller of what they can expect, right? All right, so back to the next slide here. CRM. How are you managing your time? How are you making sure that things don't fall through the cracks? You need a powerful CRM. The one that we're currently using right now is Bold Trail. But in your CRM, whatever, and they're all basically the same. I mean, some are better than others, obviously. Some have AI, some don't. Some will give you a website, some don't. Obviously they're on all different price structures. But as I've said before, your CRM is your central command, right? So the lead goes in there, all of their contact details go in there. You should have some sort of follow-up campaign, whether it's phone calls, whether it's texting, whether it's emails, whether it's a combination of all of those, whether there's some actual physical action that you need to take, sending a Zillow says type of text message, which, we do manually because we have to put the amount actually into that text message. You know, whatever it is, it needs to be in there, right? And then following up for the call, scripts, you know, role playing, you know, you need to constantly be, you know, working on yourself and sharpening the saw. So what do you do day in and day out? So number one, this is what I tell everybody. This is the minimum. This is the minimum. If you're selling real estate and you're full time, right, or you want to be full time, maybe you're just part time. You need to make it, it's not hours, it's contacts. I don't care what your lead generation is, right? Figure out what your contact is. Door knocking, probably when they answer the door and you talk to the person, right? Social media, right? What's a contact in there? I don't know. I guess they'd have to DM you. It's going to be harder to do it that way, but you need 10 contacts a day, 10 new, fresh contacts a day. In the context of cold calling, it's not 10 dials. You don't dial 10 phone numbers and that's a contact. That's a dial. A contact is they answered the phone. A contact is I gave them my opening script, right? And they responded. Yes or no, right? Were you really, you know, are you looking for a cash offer on your property, or are you just curious about the value of your house? I was just curious about the value of my house. I don't need this click. That was a contact because he answered your question. That's a contact. Don't lie to yourself, because numbers don't lie. People lie, right? We lie to ourselves. 10 contacts a day. You're going to hit those 6 objectives on those contacts. Those first phone calls that you make, all of these phone calls, even as you go through, what do you need to do? Always be closing. Always be closing. You need to always be closing. Every single phone call that you make, whether you think you can do it or not, you better be closing for that appointment, right? If you can't get the appointment, then you get to F, which is the follow-up, right? Close twice, right? Double closing, right? D stands for double closing. F, follow-up. That's your last step. Close on every single one, right? If you can't get it, you get to follow-up, right? So you need to schedule the follow-up, right? You're not thinking about selling right now. I understand that, you know, you couldn't get the appointment no matter how hard you tried, right? It's okay if I give you a call back in 3 or 4 months. Sure. Make sure you put that in your system. Right? Make sure you put that in your system, right? In your CRM, if you're using a dialer, if you have a dialer in your CRM, which ours does, you know, have your set your you know, your calling sessions, have them already set up. It saves a lot of time having that already set up. Number 4, practice your scripts. This is vital, man. This is vital. Power hour, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Get somebody that no matter what, every single day you stop and you do script and role playing with them, right? You need to script every single day until it's internalized. Then you can iterate, right? Change the script, make it your own, do whatever you need to do from there. But every single day, scripting, role playing, dialing, 10 contacts a day. These are non-negotiables. These are non-negotiables. If you're not picking up the phone and following up with your leads, following up with people that have raised their hand that said they want more information or they want to work with you, then you're not doing your job. I don't care if you're showing houses. I don't care if you're writing contracts. I don't care if you have pending sales. That sales pipeline will absolutely dry up if you don't do number 1 and number 2, lead generate, lead follow-up. It will absolutely dry up. Maybe you've been in the industry for 20 years, and every once in a while, for example myself, my phone would just randomly ring because I've got so many past clients, because I've got, you know, so many people in my network, right? I don't, you know, but I can't trick myself into believing that I don't need to pick up the phone and do cold calling every day or start dialing and do follow-up every day. Ask anybody. I'm in Power Hour pretty much every morning. The only morning I'm not, I'm still lead generating because I'm at a networking group Thursday mornings, right? But I am lead generating every single day. If I'm going to teach it, I better do it, right? 6 main objectives of a call. We already talked about that. A, B, C, D, E, F, right? And then closings, pendings should not be a day off, right? You don't take a day off. Let's talk about days off. Your air conditioner breaks down. Is that a day off? No, right? Get the technician, get it fixed. If you erase it, replace it. You can't make the call from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., that's okay. there's 23 other hours in the day. Right? Well, you can't call, I think, past is it 8 or 9 p.m. So don't do that, right? But these are the habits that you need to build into yourself and into your career in order to have any level of success. Any level of success. You want a team, right? You want to build a team. That's great, right? But if you don't know it, how can you teach it? If you don't do these actions, how are you going to teach anybody these actions, right? Broke habits bring broke results, right? Don't stop, right? You keep going no matter what. Who here's made as much money as they ever need to make in their lifetime? Probably nobody. Keep going, right? Cold calling. A lot of people look at cold calling and they moan and they groan and they cry and they get upset, right? Like, oh, I don't want a cold call. I don't want to, whatever. Just show up, man. Just show up. This is where this is where you need to make your mistakes. If you don't cold call, right? If you're not calling people that you don't know, if you're not calling people that aren't expecting your phone call, if you're not calling people that don't want to expect your phone call, then what's going to happen is you're going to get that warm lead from your barber, and you're going to call them, and you're going to sound like an idiot because you're not going to know the questions to ask. They're going to throw an objection at you. You're not going to know what to say, right? We see it in the Power Hour. We've got one agent. This agent came into the Power Hour. She was newer, and couldn't even get through the script. Couldn't even get through the script. I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks later, this agent is a master on the script. In fact, now this agent has iterated and improved and made their own script, right? Has their own things, and it's now teaching us different approaches and different things that they say when they're on their calls, right? It's right there. Cold calling is not a punishment, right? But when you're cold calling, you can make the mistakes because it's cold. They don't know you. You can hang up. You can make a mistake. Call them back 6 months later. They're not even going to remember that you ever called them. They're not going to know. They're not going to know. Remember the mistake that you made, right? So what are your 6, right? We talk about memorize your 6 objectives of a call. This is lead generation, lead follow-up. This is how you make the most out of your time when you're on the phones. And again, this isn't just cold calling. This is warm calling. Your barber gives you that lead. You go to a networking event and you get a lead at a networking event. You go door knocking and you're talking to the person. You need to do these 7 steps, A, B, C, D, E, F. Number 1, if you're not closing, you're dying. If you don't close for the appointment, you will never get an appointment. Rarely, it will happen, you make enough phone calls, but rarely is the customer going to say, we should set an appointment. You need to come list my house. It has happened. It does happen, especially after enough follow-ups. Sooner or later, that will happen to you, but it's rare. So if you're not closing for the appointment, you're not going to get the appointment. A closed mouth can't be fed. You have to ask. B, 2, build a connection. People want to work with people they like. People want to work with people that they trust. People like them, right? Build a connection. What's your connection? I don't know. Look for the opportunity. Did they go to the same school? Do they live in the same city? Do they work at a place that you used to work? Maybe your spouse works there. Do they have a dog and you love dogs? Are they a Democrat? Are they a Republican? Right? Whatever it is, find something that you have in common to have a connection with this person. Right? Oh, wow, your son's in the Marines? So is mine. That's really cool. Where's he at right now? Right? Where's your son stationed at? Oh, your kids go to this school? Oh, my son graduated from that school. That's a really good school. I like that. Right? Whatever it is, doesn't matter. Oh, your wife's an attorney? My wife's an attorney. Doesn't matter. Make a connection. People like them. Collect a key piece of information. Right? Now, B and C are vital for your follow-up. B and C, they will remember you. Right? People don't remember what you said, but people remember how you made them feel on the connection. Key piece of information. hey, Bill, we spoke about 3-4 months ago. At the time, you weren't really ready to do anything. I think you were finishing up some projects in your kitchen. But we had spoke, you asked me to give you a call back here. I think you were planning on moving somewhere up in North Georgia, something like that. So just call to follow up, see how things are going. How's your kitchen coming along? You're legit. Oh yeah, I remember that conversation. Or, oh yeah, I must have spoke to this person because he knew I was doing my kitchen. He knows I'm moving to North Georgia. Get the key information. Where are you going? Why are you going there? Is there anybody there? Who's there? Right, who's in North Georgia? Why are you going up there? Right? Oh, you're saying you're going to North Georgia. Your son just had a baby and you want to be with your grandkids. Whatever it is. Hear it a lot, right? Didn't get the appointment the first time you asked. Ask again. Ask again for the appointment. That's okay. Right? Hey, Bill, we've been talking for a while here, man. I know you said you weren't really ready to, for an appointment, but it kind of seems like we are. Look, I know we're not ready to list the property, but, we can talk about some, maybe some renovations, some upgrades, getting your house kind of ready for it to actually be shown. Christmas is going to be here before you know it. That's going to be the end of the year. If you want to get it on the market after that, we really probably should get talking about it now. I've got some time this evening at 6 o'clock, or is tomorrow at 11 a.m. better for you? Right? Close again. No, I'm really just not ready. All right. Hey, look, no problem, man. Would it be okay if I follow up with you? Try to get the appointment. Don't be pushy. They're not ready. You got time. Right? This one, it's not an expired. It's not a canceled. You can slow roll it. Permission to follow up. The last thing is valid email address, because that valid email address is going to give you some set it and forget it type of things. Right? You can send them little drip emails. Don't be spammy because you'll get blocked. But you can send them some little drip emails. Keep your name, keep your face, keep yourself in front of them so that they don't, it's going to be one more thing that that they're going to do, right? So this being said, right, obviously this takes time to perfect this, right? We can talk about the 30,000 foot view, and you can be back here and understand this at an elementary level. But we want to get you up close, microscopic approach close to this, right? What is the difference between an amateur and a professional? An amateur will practice something and do something until they get it right. A professional will practice something and do something until they can't get it wrong. An amateur will practice a script until they get through it one time and they did it just fine. A professional will practice a script over and over and over until it's internalized, until it's in their head, until they've made it a part of every conversation that they do, right? So we have to start somewhere. You have to start making mistakes. You have to start, breaking things in order to figure out how it's made and how you can put it back together, right? A lot of things in the scripts that we talk about, you may not understand why we do them, but you just do them, right? You do them, and then by doing them, sooner or later, you do figure out why we do them. You figure out, okay, it will make sense. Things will click with you, right? So, lead generation, lead follow-up, go on appointments, write contracts, close the contracts. Those are where you're at. But the problem that people have, the issues that we have, is we don't treat this business like a career. We treat this business like we don't need to be anywhere, like we don't need to do anything. We're thinking that we can rely on our friends and our family to give us referral business, and it's just not true. We need to show up and we need to meet people that we don't know. We need to make calls. We need to go to networking. We need to, talk to our sphere, our barbers, our landscapers, if you have a house cleaner, like whoever it is, you have to be talking to people and you have to be making connections every single day. Every day, 10 contacts per day is the minimum. If you want this career to be successful for you, if you want to be successful in this career, you need to have that in your head. I'm going to make 10 new contacts every single day. For me, Tuesdays are my follow-up days. So if I go in and I schedule somebody for a follow-up, I do it on a Tuesday. So every other day, Monday, Wednesday through Friday, it's just lead generation, lead generation. Unless somebody says, call me back tomorrow at this time or call me back at a certain time, obviously that's the exception. But other than that, if I say, can I call you back in 3 or 4 months? In 3 or 4 months, I'm going to schedule their call on the Tuesday. I just stack all my follow-ups on Tuesdays, right? So I don't do any lead generation on Tuesdays. That's my big lead follow-up day. These are habits that if you build them, you will never move, you will never have to start over again. Because no matter how busy you get, going on appointments, writing contracts, waiting for closings, you always lead generate. You always follow up. And you will always have a pipeline. And that pipeline will expand and it will contract, right? Sometimes it's going to feel like that pipeline is all clogged up. I've got a board right here with, on this side are all of my hot follow-up people. And on this side are the people that I have a contract with, whether it's a listing, whether it's a buyer, or whether it's an as-is. My contracts are over here. And every day we do a daily huddle and we talk about all of this. And I talk about these and these, but these are the people I don't want to forget their names, right? These are the people that are in my head that I know I need to be following up with, right? They are also in the CRM. My follow-up reminders are in the CRM, but I also have them here as a visual just for myself because I work better visually. Now, all of this being said, right? So one of our trainings that we have coming up, we're going to start talking about health. So, we're going to talk about the, healthy lifestyle, how to have healthy habits. It's not going to be entirely real estate related, but your health really is your wealth. And there's a lot of awareness now with, with health, physical health, mental health, even the health of, of your household. But we need to live balanced lives. Our families need to be healthy. Our spirituality needs to be healthy. Our bodies need to be healthy. Our minds need to be healthy, right? We need to build healthy habits. We need to talk about a perfect daily schedule where we're moving every day. We're getting enough sleep. We're getting hydration, right? Drinking enough water, because a lot of people don't drink enough water, man. And nutrition. You got to eat healthy, right? Cut back the sugar and the carbs, right? Calorie deficits. Eat less calories than what you burn in a day, and you'll lose weight, right? Am I a master of this? No. I'm constantly working on my health and my weight and everything. But this is a very important aspect of your life. So we are going to begin talking about, having a healthy lifestyle in addition to, right, these sales techniques and these sales classes that we talk about, right? You need to have healthy habits. You need to have a healthy mind, right? Your habits are what your life is ultimately going to be. You need to be surrounded by high-minded people, right? You need to surround yourself with people that will pull you up, not push you down. You don't want to be in that crab trap, right? Don't get caught in the crab trap, right? Positive mind, you've got to have a positive mind. You've got to have a positive outlook, right? Law of attraction, whether you believe in it or not, right? If you focus on the positive things of your life, you're going to see more positive things in your life. Common sense, right? So, don't worry about tomorrow, worry about today. Every day we do what we can do in that day, right? We worry about what we can do in that day, but what we need to worry about every day, don't worry about making tomorrow's 10 contacts. Worry about making 10 contacts today. If you didn't make 10 contacts today, then tomorrow when you wake up, be the person that makes 10 contacts a day. How do you become consistent in doing this? How do you become a consistent, lead generation, lead follow-up person? You do it every day. If you did this for 10 years, right, one day at a time, then that's who you are. You're a consistent lead generation, lead follow-up person. If you didn't, then you're just not that person, right? If you show up to something one day at a time for 10 years, then that's who you are. What do you need to do? You need to log into your CRM every day. Every single day, log into your CRM. 10 contacts, right? Make the phone calls, right? Find 10 people. Well, not 10. I don't know how many calls you'll need to make to get 10 contacts. Because not 10 dials doesn't mean 10 contacts. There's going to be people that don't answer. There's going to be people you can't get through the script. They're just going to hang up, right? There's just going to be, you're going to have all of that. You need to make the calls to get the 10 contacts. Make sure every lead that's in your system has some sort of campaign, right? They should be getting the property valuation, market report, listing report, right? They should be getting reports from you on a regular basis. They should be in some sort of phone call follow-up campaign, right? Every day, practice scripts. If you're not showing up to the power hour, find somebody to do it with. And if you do this every day, you'll never have to start over again, because this is it. This is what you need to do. This is lead generation, lead follow-up. That's all we're talking about today. Lead generation, lead follow-up. How are you generating leads? When you generate that lead, how are you following up with that lead? Every single lead that comes in, no matter what the source of that lead, is going to require you someday to pick up the phone. You need to have phone sales skills. This is why we push it so much. I don't care if you don't want to be a cold caller for the rest of your life, but you need to be a cold caller until you're at least proficient at cold calling. That way, when you get a warm lead or a hot lead, you're going to know exactly what to say and exactly how to say it. If you're nervous on the phones, then you definitely need to be on the phones. If you call somebody and they said something and you were totally stumped, then you need to make another phone call, man. You need to hear that objection again, and you need to hit it out of the park next time. Right? People get their real estate license because they're motivated. People fail in real estate because they're not driven. There's not a fire on the inside of them. Right? There's not something in them that they want it bad enough to do what it takes. Lead generation, lead follow-up, there's literally nothing else. There's nothing else. There is nothing else in your day that is more important than those, because those are going to lead to what? Those are going to lead to appointments, contracts, and closings. But if you don't do the first two, you can't get the last three. And if you don't master those A through F, you're going to have trouble getting to number 3. Asking for a follow-up phone call is really easy. Asking for an appointment is a little bit harder. That takes a little bit of muscle, right? You got to build your muscle, right? Strength is not a sign of what you're able to do. Strength is not an indicator of what you're able to do. Strength is an indicator of what you have overcome to be able to do what you're able to do. If you can bench 300 pounds, great, you can bench 300 pounds. But what have you done to get yourself to be able to get to that point where you can bench press 300 pounds, right? If you're a strong cold caller, right, if you're able to set an appointment every single day or every other day by cold calling, it's not because you were born with that skill. It's because you sharpened that skill. It's because you showed up and you did the work every single day. This is it. This is the only way. I'm telling you, I've been doing this a long time. This is literally the only way. Right? This is it. You've got to have some $1 million listing, right? $1 million listing. Everybody wants to be them. They're probably the reason why a lot of people got their real estate license in the first place. That's their lead generation platform, right? Now, they already were getting leads and they were already doing well in life, but you think they never picked up the phone? Right? You think they never had to lead generate? You think they never did these things? They're just different now because their lead generation is on TV. So people recognize them and they, oh, I'm going to buy something in, California. I'm going to call, one of the Josh guys on there. I'm going to buy something in New York. Call the other guy, right? Like this is where everybody starts. You get your brand new license. You've got an amazing sphere of influence. You come from affluence. Your family is super rich, like probably a lot of those guys on there. They still have to make the connections to let people know, hey, I have my real estate license. They didn't just start off having a TV show. They didn't just start off being on that show. They started somewhere else. They cut their teeth too. They had to learn the scripts and what to say and the objections. And then when they got the contracts or when they were working on the contracts, they had to figure out how to strategize and negotiate. But you do it through repetition, and repetition builds strength. And the more reps you do, the more repetition you have, the stronger you're going to get. But if you don't do it, then you can't build those muscles, right? So that's it, guys. That's all I got. I know this was a little bit rant. It's a little bit of a rant, and I'm sorry that it was a rant. Probably not a popular thing. Probably tired of hearing me say a lot of these things, but this is it. This is literally it. This is what this business is. It's lead generation. It's lead follow-up. We are in the business of sales. We are real estate agents. We are sales associates. Right? When you look at your license, you might be a broker associate, but if you're not a broker, then you're still a sales associate. Right? So keep that in mind. When you're slow, when you don't know what to do, when you're like, am I going to quit this business? Right? Just ask yourself, you know, are you willing to make those 10 contacts per day? Are you willing to make 5 contacts a day? Right? Are you willing to show up and just make 5 contacts a day? Are you willing to go to the power hour and do scripting? What are you willing and what are you not willing to do? And that will be a direct correlation to your level of success in this industry, in this business. You may get some low-hanging fruit every now and then, but low-hanging fruit gets picked off pretty quick, and then it's gone, right? Then you got to reach a little higher, right? Then you got to put in some work. You got to climb the tree. You got to get a ladder, right? And then you got to reach further out, and you got to go into some of those more dangerous areas. But if you're willing to take the risk, the reward will be there for you. We are here for you. Our motto, don't stay stuck. We are literally in the lobby room all day, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Somebody's in there to help you. You want to call at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you don't know where to find the scripts, just pop in. Let us know. Tell us what you need. We pride ourselves on our level of support that we give to the agents. So we are here for you. Please don't stay stuck. Please hear what I say. Whether you want to believe it or not, it is true. Lead generation, lead follow-up, that's where the success in this business is. If you're not willing to pick up the phone at some point, you're going to fail. And if you think texting is going to work, not going to work, right? And again, there's an exception to every rule. Maybe every once in a while you'll get something from a text message, but if you're not willing to pick up the phone and have that conversation at some point, you're going to fail. You're going to fail. Phone skills. Phone skills. That's what it is. Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any thoughts? Opinions? Am I wrong? All right. I must be right. I hope I'm right. I think I'm right. Pretty sure. So, all right. Awesome. Well, that's it. Again, for the agents that are watching or the agents that have attended that are not members of this brokerage, if you'd like to learn more, shameless plug, scan the QR code, reach out to us otherwise. If you're on the recording, you can just, you can hit us on a direct message. Our contact information will be in the comments below. Thank you, everybody. We've got a lot of agents from the office on here. I'm grateful you're all here. I'm grateful to the agents that show up to these week after week after week. I know I say a lot of the same things. I know that I really drive this thing into the ground. But I've been doing this for a long time, and I've been at so many different levels in this industry. And now on the broker side, I see so many agents with so much potential, and they don't put in, the first 2 steps, and that's where the failure happens. Right? It's got to be lead generation. It's got to be lead follow-up. That's all there is. We need a schedule. We need to treat this like a job. We need to show up. I don't believe in the hustle mentality. I think we burn ourselves out if you're in there just grinding. But if you'll commit to those 10 contacts per day and nothing else, 10 contacts per day, how do you want to do it? However you want to do it, 10 contacts per day, because it's not just on the phones, although you will need to call them later. I guarantee you, no matter what you do, you will get the phone number and you will need to call them later. You may need to close them. But 10 contacts per day, it will take your business to that next level. And you need to do it today because of the sales progression, right? Most calls don't lead to an appointment on day 1, unless you're calling expireds or canceled, in which case it probably does need to be an appointment on day 1, because they are looking to sell their house. So if you don't get that appointment, somebody else will. You get to that appointment, you don't get the listing, somebody else probably will. But besides that, most of the leads are going to go through some timeline, right? 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, doesn't matter how long they are, but now they're in that follow-up campaign. And the sooner you get in front of them, the sooner you start having conversions, right? The easier the conversions get. So thank you, everybody. Next week is our roundtable. So, you know, I'm hoping to see everybody there. You know, this is where we just talk about whatever you all want to talk about. You know, tell us where you're stuck, you know, in today's market. Tell us where, you know, maybe you had some victory. You know, we had the one where we talked about social media and everybody kind of shared their tricks. You know, there were things that I hadn't heard of doing before. So a lot of knowledge, a lot of stuff is passed in there. You know, again, we're here. Don't stay stuck. We do, you know, encourage agents, you know, agents in our office to work together and just support each other because, you know, it's a tough market out there right now. So that's it, everybody. I appreciate everybody that's here. I really do. You have no idea. I hope I see you next week. And in the meantime, if you need anything, just let us know. You've got my info.